for coming to Top Tips for Solo Admins. My name is Christine Marshall, and I work for an engineering company in Bristol called Explio Group. So what can I tell you about myself? Well, I've been Salesforcing since 2014, always as a solo admin, and I'm a certified administrator and platform app builder. I'm part of the Lightning Champions program with Salesforce, so if you've got any questions about Lightning, feel free to ask me later on. I mentor for the Salesforce Supermoms program and also have done some guest training, so again, if you'd like to know more about that, I'm more than happy to speak about it. And there are other people in the front row who also mentor for them, so you can speak to them as well. I'm a trailhead ranger, most of us are now, and I've spoken at a couple of events, and I'm also the author of the Everyday Admin website. So that's my blog, it's aimed at admins, and lots of tips and tricks and tutorials on there if you'd like to check it out. So having been doing this for a few years now, there are definitely things that I wish I'd known sooner that would have saved me a lot of time. And being an accidental admin, sometimes you don't come across these things until it's too late and you've spent a lot of time and a lot of stress doing things. So I wanted to put this presentation on to talk to other people in the same situation and maybe give you a few ideas of things that you too could do as a solo admin. And I want to start with how you can manage your workload in Salesforce. Because there's something that nobody tells you before you become a solo admin. And that is that you will do everything. Because you're not just the administrator, you're the trainer, you're the technical author, you're the project manager, sometimes you act like a consultant. And it's really easy to become very overwhelmed, quite overworked when you've got constant requests coming into you and you manage lots of different people, key stakeholders, your boss, your users. So my tip here is to use what's already there. And I like to use cases. Now, even if you just have Sales Cloud, you have access to cases, so you don't have to pay anything extra for it. And I use it to set up my own support desk that my users can access, so when they need help, they can log a case with me instead of turning up or calling me or emailing. But I also use it to manage my project work and my enhancements, so I can use it to plan my roadmap, create a backlog, and really stay on top of my workload. Now, because it's in Salesforce, we've got access to other native functionality, so email to case is quite handy. Kanban, it's not just for your users, it's for admins as well. And of course, reports and dashboards. So like all good things, it does take some setting up, but once you've done that, then there are loads of benefits. Keep everything in one place, and it makes it much easier to stop things from falling through the cracks. It stops you from forgetting about things, which can be really easy to do when they're just post-it notes listed across your desk. You can easily view your outstanding work and start to prioritize your workload. And it's likely that your company and your boss maybe don't understand how much you're doing, or how much effort is involved, or how much time everything takes. So having it in Salesforce, you can make it very visual, put it in Kanban, show them all of your outstanding tasks, and start asking them to prioritize. What are their key requirements? What should you focus on? Because as a solo admin, you can't always do it all. If you put everything in one place using cases, you might identify frequent issues, which might highlight that you need to adapt your training or your user guide or perhaps your page layouts. Are you getting frequent issues with people that don't understand what they need to do? And if you do one thing when you set it up, I would recommend that you track the time that you spend on each of these tasks, because what you'll probably find is if you find that your project work keeps slipping or you have tasks that don't get done, you're probably spending most of your time on those everyday user support requests, those people that turn up to your desk with those really small things, really little requests, I can't find this, where does this go? But those add up. A couple of those a day, several of those a week, and suddenly 75% of your time is being taken up by user requests and not on your project work. So for my second tip, I want to talk about how you can simplify your user onboarding and support. And I like to tackle this in 3 steps. So automate your welcome, keep your users in the loop, and set up one-click support. And this is all about making it as automated and as easy as possible. So we all know what happens when we set up a new user license. They get an email from Salesforce asking them to activate, set up a password. Now, if you're lucky, they might activate before the link expires. If you're even luckier, they click on the right link and not the wrong one. But it got me thinking, if Salesforce automate that, then what can I automate when I set up a new user? And I created a welcome email. So I've used Process Builder so that every time I click active and I set up a new user, they get sent this automated welcome. And one of the first things it does is it reminds them to activate their license before it expires. And because I'm kind, I might give them useful links to Trailhead, to training documents, to the user guide, so they've got it at their fingertips. And I can also let them know that I'll be in touch to set up training, and it stops them from chasing me. It lets them know everything's in hand, here are the things you need to get started, don't come to me, I'll come to you. It buys me a little bit of time. So the second thing I like to do is try and keep my users in the loop as much as possible and avoid lots of emails, avoid lots of different channels. If I can keep everything on Salesforce, I know what I've done, they can see it, I can see it, it's all in one place. It makes it simple. And I use a chatter group. So what I've done is, in the information section, links to useful information, again, to Trailhead, to training videos, to other useful documents. You could link to things in your own central drives or on SharePoint. Files I use from my user guide, so I know they've got the latest version all the time. And what I love to do is use the Chatter Publisher. And I can do this to warn them when I'm going to make enhancements or make changes. I can do this if there's going to be any system downtime. But the best thing is I can use this to let them know about the new functionality that comes out with each release. Because they're not reading the release notes, they're not following it like we are. And on here, a little bit small, but that was about the pinned list views, which is so useful, that came out with one of the most recent releases. And I wanted to put that out there and let my users know it was available to them, because I knew they would find that really, really useful. But don't expect your users to add themselves to a chatter group. They won't do it. And don't do it manually yourself. You can achieve this with Process Builder again. So at the same time as Process Builder sends out your welcome email, it can add them into a chatter group. And if that's something that you want to do, you can go on the Automation Champion website, and he's got a whole blog post on how you can set that up. Obvious and automated, that's really the key to these things. In Lightning, you can now put a component on your home page of the Chatter Publisher so that everything you're posting in that group is going to appear on the home page as well. So you're really covering all bases. It's in a chatter group, they're getting their weekly digest from that chatter group, and it's on the home page as well. So we're trying to make things as simple as possible for our users, make it obvious, stop them from coming to us with all of their questions. And you've hopefully by now gone to the effort of setting up cases of creating an internal help desk on Salesforce. And we now need to encourage our users to funnel their requests into the right place. But they won't do it if it's not easy. So I've set up a one-click support ticket. I've used a Jumbotron component from the App Exchange that you can put on your home page, so it's the first thing that they see when they log in, and without using any code, you can customize it, set it with your company's branding, change the picture, change the help text, change the colors, and when they click the Request Support button, it opens up a new case record for them. And you can set default values. You can minimize the fields that are on the page so it looks easy and they're more inclined to log their request there instead of turning up at your desk, calling you, emailing you constantly. So happy users hopefully are happier admin. We want to make our new users feel welcome because let's not forget that they might be coming from somewhere that already has CRM. It might be Salesforce, it might be another tool, but we know there's a lot of negativity around CRM, and we want to get off on the right foot with them, make a good impression. We want to encourage self-sufficiency and this concept of being quite self-serve. It's at their fingertips, they can go and find it themselves. Prepare our users for change, because everybody hates change, not just users. I hate change. But if I know in advance, then I'm less upset and I'm less angry when that change actually happens. And as much as I love my users, and I don't like to feel that my desk has a revolving door of people that just keep showing up. So I want fewer impromptu desk visits, I want fewer emails, I want fewer phone calls, I don't want post-it notes left on my PC. I want to take back control of my day, have everything in one place so that I can really manage my workload, and also show my boss what my workload looks like. Emails, calls, post-it notes are not reflected, and then you can't show the true volume of the work that you're dealing with every day. So a lot of the requests that I get to my help desk are not because anything's broken. It's not because there's a bug. It's because my users will say, I can't find this field, or this button has gone missing. And we can joke and say that's a user error, right? But actually, as the admin, it's more our responsibility to make sure that we're creating a system that is intuitive for them to use so that we don't get those types of questions. So I want to take a little look about how we can optimize our user experience. Now, I get it, we're really busy. Admins wear a lot of hats, they do a lot of roles, and we might find that we spend a lot of time firefighting. We don't have any time to be proactive because we're so reactive with all of the things that are just constantly coming at us. But we risk square wheel syndrome, where we're so busy that we never put in place things that will actually help us in the future. So we have to make time. We have to make time in order to recoup that time in the future. And there are so many easy ways that we can do it. So remove any unused fields from your page layout. Use the optimizer, use field trip, use field footprint. These are all free tools that are available to us. If a field is not being used, if it's not being filled in, then it's clutter, and clutter is confusing. So take them off the page. Think about your data quality, but more importantly, how clear are your data requirements to your users? Are you making the fields required on the page layout? If you've got validation rules in place, how obvious are those error messages? Have you detailed them in your user guides? Do your users know what's expected of them? Because when they constantly hit error messages, and they fix one, and then the next one pops up, it's a really frustrating experience for them. Consider your compact layout. It's the first thing that your users are going to see, and you want your key fields here. Don't just rely on the Salesforce defaults that come as standard. What is most useful to your users? If you've got something like a telephony system, include the phone number so they've got access to that really easy one-click phone call system. Include the email. Talk to your users, find out what is most beneficial to them. Plan your landing tab. This is one of my favorite features in Lightning, is that you can have multiple tabs and you can decide what the landing tab should be. And I read recently an article that said every record should land on the details tab. And I think that's wrong. I completely disagree. And there's logic behind this. So if my users are going to edit an opportunity record, the likelihood is they want to change the stage, or they're pushing the close date out for the 5th, 6th time. That's what they're typically doing there. And it makes sense for them to land on that details tab. But if they're viewing an account record, we found that once an account is set up, they don't really need to edit it anymore. They want to view all contacts, they want to view all opportunities, or add someone to the account team. So in that case, it makes more sense for them to land on the related tab. But ask your users what makes sense for them. You're reducing the navigation, maybe by a single click, but it can make all the difference to the user experience. Now, whatever you do, keep it consistent. So think about your tabs, the order of your tabs. Think about your buttons in the top corner there. If edit comes first on the account page, it should come first on every page. Think about your chatter. Think about your activity timeline. Where are you going to place those, and keep it consistent? So you can see this is my account here. And on my contact again, same order of the tabs, same buttons, same activity timeline. And my opportunity record, this time with the addition of sales path, but the rest remains the same. And it makes it far more intuitive when it's the same on each record. It's a much easier navigation experience. So I think that you see a lot of benefits from this. So intuitive layouts helps increase your user adoption. And we know that Salesforce runs so many different webinars and sessions on increasing your adoption because it's something that we all really struggle with. So if there are simple ways to improve it, then we need to be doing them. Easier data entry means better quality data, which means better quality reports and dashboards, and much happier managers. And at the end of the day, fewer support requests to you as the administrator, and hopefully more time for you to be proactive. So for my next tip, I want to look at some of my favourite time-saving tips. And some of these I've only recently come across, which is a bit embarrassing after 4 years of being an admin. And I just wish I'd known about them sooner. They would have saved me so much time. And some of these you might know about. Some of them will hopefully be new and something that you can take away with you. So there are a lot more search bars than I realised. And the first thing I do in my user training is I talk about the global search bar and the importance of the search bar and all of the things that you can find with the search bar. But when I'm looking for something, I stare at the page for ages, looking for whatever it is I'm looking for. There's a search bar on the app launcher. Who knew? And it doesn't just search the apps, it searches all of your objects as well. Now if you've got 50 or 100 or 200 objects, don't do what I do and scan them, just search for them. It's much quicker. When you go into setup, there's a search bar on there as well as the quick find. And when you go to the object manager and you're on something like fields, you've got a quick find there. Or on the page layouts, there's another quick find there. And this is really helpful, especially with fields, when something gets really, really big and you've got hundreds of fields. Instead of looking for it, do a search. And especially on the fields, that search bar doesn't just look at the name, it will search various fields like error messages on validation rules. It's a much quicker way of searching for them. So there's a lot more than that. Hello?
Are you taking questions?
At the end, is that okay?
Okay, sure.
So keep an eye out for them. They are all over the place. The power of one. Hopefully everybody does know about this. And if it's not set up, I set this up everywhere I go. And you want it on every single object. It gives you a unique count that you might not otherwise be able to get. So a good example would be the number of unique accounts in a campaign report with campaign members. So you might know your number of campaigns, you might know how many campaign members you have, but how many unique accounts are those members from? It's really simple. It's just a formula field, and the return is a number, no decimal places, and the formula is simply a 1. So if you don't have that set up, set that up. Another really useful one is what I like to call the easy access 18-digit ID. So you can get your 15-digit ID from the URL or in reports, and that's great, but it's case sensitive. And I do a lot of work where I take information out of Salesforce and I manipulate it in Excel. And Excel doesn't recognize those unique values. It requires the 18-digit ID. So this is one that I always set up. I also do a lot of updating and loading with data loader, and again, I need the 18-digit ID, and I need easy access to it. I could get that from data loader, but I prefer to get it from a report. So a very simple one again, a formula field, a text return type, and the formula is case safe ID, open bracket ID, close bracket ID. And all that does is it literally gives you the 18-digit ID, which you can then put on the page layout if it's useful, or access it from reports as well. So this is a bit of a contentious subject. Developers, hide. I want to talk about how you can put IDs into validation rules to exclude yourself. Yeah. So in my company, we have so many validation rules. And I do a lot, as I say, of updating using data loader. And I hit those validation rules all the time. And the trouble is that I don't know what information is correct. So the close date must always be in the future. I go to a bulk update my opportunities. The close date is always in the past. And I don't know the correct one, and it's not my place to change those dates. So I wanted to find a way of bypassing those rules for myself, which you can. You can bypass it based on a user ID if you just want to exclude yourself, or you could do it based on a profile ID as well. So you could exclude all system administrators from validation rules. Now, as I said, this is quite a contentious subject. Putting IDs and things is generally very frowned upon, but I do it. I talk. We can do this, it's fine. But what you should do as an admin, if you're doing this, if you're ever referencing IDs, is say what they are. Because in a year's time, when you look at this, you're going to have no idea what you were trying to exclude. And if you leave, and the next poor solo admin comes along, they've got no idea what you were referencing. So actually, this is a double tip. You can exclude yourself from validation rules, but you can also add comments into a validation rule, which as an admin, I didn't know. And formula fields. So by putting it with the / and the star and / you can put comments in that then let other users, other admins know exactly what it was you were doing. So that can be really, really handy. And all that's saying is that the user ID is not equal to that, or that the user profile ID is not equal to that ID. So you can just add that into any existing ones using like an and. So you could say, close date must be in the future, and the user is not equal to me, and it makes it a lot easier. The only caveat I would say is that when you do your training and you're training users, you may still be bypassing validation rules. So watch out for that. This I learned in like the last 6 months. This is great, and I made a little video here. So you can move multiple fields on the page layout at once instead of doing it one by one. So if I play my video, if you hold Control and select the different fields that you want to say remove from the page layout, and then just drag them, and you can do it at once. I've been doing it one by one for 4 years.
It's works on the report as well.
Works the other way as well. You set multiple at the top and then drag them down, and then go in the order that you select them from the thing at the top.
It's so clever.
And you can press the little no entry hover thing on the field for all of them at the same time.
So, well, speaking of that, for my next one, you can set all your field properties in bulk. And again, I've been doing this one by one. Well, I made another little video. So in the same vein, if you select your fields, and then click on the little wrench icon, as you would normally, you can do it for all of them. Set them all as read-only, set them all as required, or a variation, but do it all at once. Who knew you could do that? That would have been a great thing to know 3 years ago. I wasn't sure whether I should include this, because I didn't think that this was such a great thing, but I wrote a blog post on it, and it got like 700 people viewed it. So in Classic, when you're using it like a native report, opportunities is a great example. You start a new opportunity report, and it's got hundreds of columns selected by default, and quite often you might want to just remove them all and start afresh. But in Lightning, that's kind of been hidden. It was obvious in Classic, not so much in Lightning. So from a Lightning report, from the Outline tab, there's a little drop-down arrow next to columns, and that's where they've hidden removal columns there. So that's quite a handy one to know about. And that got me thinking about other things that we do with reports, and what we can do with custom report types. So there were a few things here that we forget to do. I set up a custom report type, and very often I don't set the default columns, which isn't very helpful. So kind admins, remember to set the default columns, which you can do from your custom report type. But you can also rename fields on a custom report type, which I think is quite handy, especially if you have a difficult part of your business that insists that they must use their own field names. In theory, you could create them a custom report type where you rename their fields there. Or just say no. But you can do that there. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some apps that I install, because I don't install many, and a lot of that is to do with the fact that I'm pretty cheap and they have to be free. But they also have to be pretty good to be worth the effort of testing them before finally putting them into the org. So one of the ones that I do use is Graphics Pack, and that's because I love image formula fields. But sourcing an image, making sure that it's the right size, of the right quality, and uploading it is quite time-consuming. But Graphics Pack has hundreds of images, including an entire section on flags, which is surprisingly useful. And so that is one that I do always install. But my favourite one of all time is the Declarative Lookup Rollup Summaries tool by Andrew Fawcett. So this supercharges your admin powers, because I love a rollup field, but natively they have so many limitations. You have to have a master detail, relationship, and if you want to specify a date range, it has to be a date range. You can't just say roll up everything from this year, or last month. And that's what I typically want to do. But with this, you can do it. You don't get it from the App Exchange, you get it from GitHub. So this I really recommend, because you can roll up all the things, all the time. Super, super powerful. But the thing that saved me the most amount of time as a solo admin is finding myself some super users. I mean, they have to be good to make it worth your while and to actually save time. But if you're a solo admin and you support users in different countries, this is really worth doing. So my company has offices around the world, so I've got super users in France and in Germany, and actually sometimes they do a lot of their own training, which is great because they'll do it in their native language, and that's really helpful. But they also support me in communicating enhancements and rollouts. They advocate for the system, and it makes my job so much easier. Users are also more likely to talk to them than they are to me, especially if you're in a different office, in a different country, and people can't talk to you face-to-face, they can't just turn up. But they might talk to their super users, who then feed back loads of great ideas about how the system could be improved from a user perspective. So I wanted to talk about investing in yourself. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Because what you're capable of in a couple of years' time, where you are in your career, what you've achieved, is largely based on what you do right now. So if you've got a goal, the sooner you start working on it, the sooner you can get there. And there are so many ways that you can invest in yourself, but I want to talk about just a few today that you could and should start doing right now. So Trailhead, I know everybody says it, but it is a great free learning resource. And there are ways that you can get more out of it. So today, as you go round, if you see a product, some functionality or a feature and you think, oh, that's interesting, well, that could be useful, as soon as you go home, log on to Trailhead and do the relevant badges. Because you'll cement your knowledge and your understanding from today. Instead of it being very conceptual, you'll really get to grips with what that is. Set yourself a goal if you haven't already. So if you've got 10 badges, aim for 20. That's 50, get to 75, aim for a range of 100 badges. And don't just limit yourself to ones that are relevant to your role as an admin or as a solo admin. Explore all the badges that are there, because there are over 700 now, I believe. So when I was trying to get to Ranger, I got to about 86 badges, and I decided I wanted to speed the process up. So I started looking for easier badges, which I realise is cheating, but it worked. And actually it had some surprising benefits, because I started looking at ones that weren't related to admin. I started looking at team leadership and tools that I don't get to use. I don't have access to Quip or Einstein, so I don't really know anything about them. So I started doing those as well. So it's really great to broaden your horizons and your understanding of the other things the platform, those consultants, they get to play with. Get certified. And if you're a certified administrator, what other certifications could you do? The Platform App Builder I've done, and I can really vouch that that's a great next step for any certified administrator. It's very broad, it covers a lot of different platform aspects, it covers sales and Service Cloud. Try and do the uh-oh. I've gone. I don't know why I've gone.
Having a life.
Should I shout out?
Time's up.
Time's up. I could just shout. The advanced admin remove the batteries.
Batteries.
The advanced admin is notoriously really hard, by the way. So I've been studying for it on and off for like 18 months, and I'm still too scared to take it. But it is a good next step for any admin. The trouble is it goes into things like territory management, which is just terrifying. It's so complicated. But I recommend that that is another good one to do. It really sort of deep dives into functionality. Sound louder. Sales Cloud Consultant. So what a lot of these have in common is there's quite a lot of overlap. So if you're doing one, do others. If you're doing Platform App, there's overlap with Advanced Admin. There's overlap with the Sales Cloud Consultant. Now I haven't started studying for Service Cloud, but I'm guessing there's a lot of overlap there as well. Find your people. it makes coming to these things a lot easier. So I found this quote which I really thought summed it up. Find a group of people who challenge and inspire you, spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life. And that is true. It really gives you a lot of confidence, and as a solo admin, it's isolating. Day to day, we're on our own. We might have other colleagues, but they have no idea what we're doing, no idea the frustrations that are involved. And also, there's no one to bounce ideas off of when you think, oh, I could do this. Is that a good idea? I don't know. So, go to Trailblazer community groups like this, and also find your local user group. Oh, we've got batteries. I love this. This is the first time I've ever been recorded as well. Who here goes to their local user group? There. Yes. I'm looking at the other ones that didn't raise their hands. Good. It's good. We're getting there. Looks like there's a lot of batteries going in.
Whoa.
Like, how many people does it take to change a light bulb?
I think 3 right now. And there are these 2. I have fresh one for you. If your presentation doesn't go as blazingly fast as it should be, I don't know what will.
Down from the back, Joe.
I'm sorry.
Am I on?
You're good.
Am I on? Oh, I'm back. Hey! We might actually go faster. I don't know what the time is now. Ooh. Okay, really important. Actually, this really fits in with the theme of today, and that's paying it forward. And there's this Chinese proverb, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. I agree with this one. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. Not so much. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. I would like that. But if you want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody. So helping other people has been shown to really help improve your own perception of yourself, and also inspire kindness from other people. They're more likely to want to do you a favour, be kind back, or they might go on and pay it forward to someone else. And how can you do it? Well, there are so many different ways. Salesforce Supermums. This is a picture of Heather from the London World Tour getting her golden hoodie. You can mentor, you can guest train, you can be a sponsor. There are other mentoring programs out there. If you feel like you're ready to do that, you're ready to kind of mentor another admin, get on the Answers community. Amnon is here today, Mr. Number 1, him and Steve Moe, and that's a really great thing to do, and actually it really helps improve your own learning by teaching others. You could volunteer your time to a charity, speak at an event like this, tell people about the things that you've learned. If it was useful to you, it will be useful to other people. Or blog. And you don't have to have your own blog, you can guest blog for other people. If you've got something useful, Claire, that you would like to share with others, then think about doing a guest blog.
Recruitment advert.
Yeah, you can guest blog for me. So what's in it for you? Because that does seem like a lot of extra work, doesn't it, on top of your day job? Well, you can stay motivated and prevent boredom. As a solo admin, I use the same tools, I don't get access to a lot of the fun stuff, and I do the same thing day in, day out, and I get bored very easily. So by doing my certifications, doing my trailhead, then it prevents boredom and keeps me a lot more satisfied in my current job. Stay relevant and up to date. 3 releases a year. We have to stay on top of all the new enhancements. And also it makes you a very attractive candidate in the job market. Increase your confidence and self-worth. I don't know how many of you here are like me, an accidental admin. I don't have an IT degree, I'm not from an IT background, and so it's not uncommon for me to feel like maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, or get a lot of imposter syndrome. It also gives you links to the wider community, which has been shown to be really important for your mental health and well-being. And you'll inspire generosity and compassion. So we talk about inspiring kindness, paying it forward, and then those people carry it on, and the momentum keeps going. So my last tip is that the only mistake you can make is not asking for help. If you're lost or confused, that's okay. We've all been there, and Google is your friend. But Google will only get you so far, and sometimes you need the perspective of someone else. You need someone else's understanding of best practice. So the key message here is that you're going to have to make the first move. You're going to have to reach out and ask for help, which is something that a lot of us really don't feel comfortable doing. But if you can be brave enough to ask, then I can guarantee that there are loads of people that would love to help you. So Ohana, we talk about it a lot. Ohana means family, but it's not just Salesforce Kool-Aid. It's not just this business term that's being thrown around. It's a community of like-minded individuals, because we are bonded here. We're bonded through our use of Salesforce, through our love of Salesforce, and also through our frustrations with Salesforce. No one else gets it like we do here in this room and in this venue. And it's a unique community because there is a complete culture of acceptance. It's a safe space for questions, for answers. There is no such thing as a stupid question. And because it's global, there really is someone there for you 24/7. So if you're ready to ask for help, where can you find it? If you've got a technical question, the Answers community is the place for you. If you've got a process builder that's not firing, if you've got a syntax error in your formula and you just can't work out where that last bracket was supposed to go, then the Answers community is a great place. Give as much information as possible. Use pictures where you can. That's really, really helpful. Tell us what you've already tried so we don't give you repeat information. And if you need hand-holding, by that I mean step-by-step guidance, then ask for it. Just say that's what you need. If links to a help document aren't going to be useful, that's okay. While you're on the Trailblazer community, go and check out the Trailblazer groups, because there's one for everyone. So there's a great one for reports and dashboards. If you do want to start looking at territory management, there's a group for that. If you do want to study for your advanced admin, I've got a group for that. You're more than welcome to join. And if you want something a little bit more in person, then coming to things like this is the place to be. Because you can come and talk amongst each other, talk to the speakers, talk to the sponsors. Sometimes they have Ask the Expert booths or Lightning Champion booths where you can speak to someone in person. And if that seems a bit scary, then again, your local user group could be a great place, or a Salesforce Saturday, where you can just ask someone very informally. And on Twitter, if you're not already on Twitter, that's where you need to be. You can tweet Salesforce directly at our Salesforce, but I find it's the best place to keep up with new blogs, new helpful links, new functionality. That's the best place I find to find support and new ideas. So, we've talked about a lot, and there are so many resources out there for you. So at the very end of the slide deck, I have included links, and I'm happy to share the slide deck with you to make it easier. And if you've got any questions that you don't want to ask in person, that you want to reach out afterwards, my details are on the screen here. My email, my personal Twitter, my everyday admin Twitter is there as well. And I just want to finish the session by saying that if you're a solo admin, you've already proved that you're a complete rock star. But I understand that it can feel isolating and overwhelming. So just know that if you ever feel like you're alone, or if you ever need support, that there's a whole community out here just waiting for you to reach out and ask for help. Thank you. Did you want to ask your question? Not if it's hard though.
Well, I'll first have to try to remember it.
We should go back 40 slides.
I think it was on the search bars. So my question was, what is the difference between the search bar on the left inside of setup and the one at the top in setup?
You can search for the same thing pretty much.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah, from what I found. But the quick find on the fields and page layout searches your list of fields or validation rules, whereas on that side, the quick find searches through setup options.
Right.
But if you're in setup in the search bar, you could search for users, for example. That would work.
The search bar on the left of the setup is searching through the setup options, and the top is searching through records.
Yeah.
Would be mine.
Okay. So yeah, search for users and things.
Nice.
Anyone else got any questions? I don't know how much time we've got left.
Can I just add something?
Of course.
Because of general horror when you said putting in user IDs to bypass validation rules. You can also do it by creating a custom permission, adding it to a permission set, and then when you need to bypass that rule, giving yourself the permission set, which also means that when you then train users, you remove the permission step from yourself, and then you have the same validation rules. So you don't have to hard code IDs.
Yeah, you can turn it off and on as well.
Yeah.
I just go for the easy option.
That's how I did it first, and I got my wrist.
I went the other way around. I did the proper way and then I went, no, I'm just going to hard code. Good job. Okay, I'm done. I'm out of time. Thank you so much for coming.